Hello, my friends. We are live. I like to call this little show Ignore the Machine, and we have some special guests today to celebrate a couple of events coming up. I'm going to introduce the folks, and then Chachi's going to talk about the first thing that's going on. We have Todd Erickson. You may know Todd from Shake the Faith and Holy Smoke. And we have wife Lisa Erickson, I believe, who created Rock Garden Records,
She sure did.
which is related, as you'll see. We have Stephanie. Well, we had Stephanie and Chachi. They look like they bumped off. Did they? They'll be back, I'm sure. Are they gone?
Yeah, I don't see him either.
Okay. Well, there they.
I think what happened, Bradley. I think John Logan dropped in and he did a magic trick and erased.
I see. Okay.
It's an illusion. We're all being tricked.
Well, what I'll do is I'll start to describe the deal once a month. Chachi and John Logan. Chachi, a fan ambassador is a new word I made up. A fan ambassador. He's a Beatles maniac and expert, and he, along with Beatles magician John Duke Logan, put on a monthly show called Come Together. It's currently at City Winery, but who knows where it'll go from here. And Chachi's back with Steph. And is John here yet? Negative. So that's all right. We can talk about John. Chachi, I gave a loose introduction to what Come Together is, and we're going to talk about that. That's coming up this Saturday, and why this one is particularly special, and what Todd's involvement in is, and Lisa's involvement, and if John joins us, John's involvement. Then we'll talk a little about other things that Todd is doing, and they are Beatles related as well, and it ties back to you and your show Breakfast with the Beatles. So, Chach, what's going on? Chach and Steph, what's going on Saturday? This Saturday, a mere 2 days away.
A mere 2 days away, November 11th. It's our Saturday edition of Come Together. It's our monthly Beatles residency, and for the most part, it's a Sunday brunch, but in this particular day, we're doing a Saturday, and we will be going to City Winery, of course. It's a very special day. We're going to be embracing the Beatles solo catalog, and we will also, acknowledge the brand new Beatles 45 that just came out. There's John right there.
And
There he is. And we have a very special musical guest, and it's a compilation of some Boston musicians who are all under the umbrella of Rock Garden Records, of which Todd and Lisa run. And so it's going to be twofold. They put together a band for our show that's going to be spotlighting the White Album, and that's a prelude to a big event that we're doing at the Brighton Music Hall on Sunday, November 26th, where a bunch of Rock Garden Records artists will be performing at Brighton Music Hall. They'll be playing some of their original music, but also celebrating 55 years of the White Album. So they'll be performing White Album songs as well.
All right, let's first concentrate on the Saturday event. Come Together. You and John, along with executive producer Stephanie, have been putting this on for over a year now, about a year. I think I've been with you a year now. I think this will be maybe the anniversary or something. How long you been doing it?
September was the anniversary, so what? It's 14 months now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And each month, you so far at City Winery, you have a show. It's a very, I don't like to say slick, but it's very professional. Moves right along, and it's all about the Beatles. The first time I heard about it, I was fuzzy, so I want to make sure people can understand. We give them a picture of what kind of entertainment is in store for them when they come to the event at City Winery at noontime this Saturday. First thing you see is, well, you see me. I come out and I introduce our hosts, Chachi and John, and it's right away we get into the meat of the thing, and that includes usually rare Beatles clips on video and Beatles music, some recorded, and Todd and usually live. I think all the time, most of the time live. We do have live music this time. And prizes that are always very awesome prizes donated by an awesome donator. Chachi will explain what that is. But if you're a Beatles fan, it's just so delicious, and it's fun to see the repeat folks, the regular folks that come every month. It's a get together, and we invite you to be part of the club, part of the cool kids that come to City Winery and enjoy and celebrate the Beatles. And this time, it's the Beatles solo years. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. And I'm looking forward to this. I don't know how you guys are going to handle it. I always think of George and All Things Must Pass, but I'm looking forward to getting out of my box and discovering some more Beatles solo stuff. And you have the prizes again, Chach. What are the prizes this time?
We will have some
or do you
original.
know?
Yes, we do. Specifically, we don't know the titles quite yet. I'm getting everything tomorrow. But Bob Walsh at Cheap Thrills Music in Dedham, he has a great store called Cheap Thrills Music, and he provides original Beatles vinyl for us to give away every month. So we'll have that, a bunch of albums, and also, John can elaborate, but John does his Beatles-inspired magic, and Todd and Lisa can explain just who our musical performers will be that day. Some great guys, including, of course, we all know Todd Erickson from the Shake the Faith days. Back in the day, Bradley, they did one or two BCN lunchtime concerts. We actually did three of them. There you go. And one of them was
four, including Mark Pereno's infamous boat cruise that we almost fell off. But that's another story.
And the big one we did was on Ash Wednesday. Get it, Bradley J? Shake the Faith. We did a lunchtime show on Ash Wednesday.
Hilarious.
And so that was fun. But so John, acknowledge, please throw in whatever you'd like, and then Todd and Lisa can talk about the music.
Hey, John, you got any new wild, mind-blowing experiments for this Saturday?
I do, yeah. I'm trying a few new things on Saturday for some magic, which is fun. And yeah, it's. Thanks you, Bradley, for having us, and thank you, Todd and Lisa, for your support as well. But yeah, for those who may not know and listening right now to the broadcast, just like Bradley said, it's kind of this multimedia experience all around the Beatles. So I do magic, we have live music, we show some really cool video clips of the Beatles, we give away prizes, there's wine, there's food. It's a big celebration around the Beatles, and every show is different that we do. So last month it was all about John Lennon. This month is all about their solo years. So we'll be showing some cool footage of some footage that people may have not seen of their solo years, and telling some cool underground stories of them. So yeah, it's really a great celebration of the Beatles. It's a little bit of everything for everyone. Like I said, music, magic, film, food, wine, and prizes. So
I'm trying to think of a word, and I finally came up with one. It's kind of a spectacle. It's especially when John gets up there and he's got all his props that he works with, and these big cards and all this stuff, and it's really cool, and it's getting cooler each time.
Thank you.
So now I'm going to backtrack a little bit and dig into Todd. By the way, Todd, you've come to a bunch of these, haven't you?
I have, and that's kind of where I got interested and got involved, and maybe that's a great starting point, Bradley.
Good. Now, Shake the Faith. I'm trying to. If you're talking lunchtime concerts, that's '80s, right? Because they didn't get into the '90s. It was '80s.
It was mid to late '80s. Shake the Faith formed in 1986. It was myself and Casey Lindstrom, who had just finished up the New Models, working with Rick Ocasek from the Cars on Rick's solo projects.
Right.
And then famously, I run into Jesse Mayer, who is a longtime Boston, I don't know a better word than infamous drummer. And we started Shake the Faith and had a real good run for just about 4 years. Did about everything you could do in Boston. Had a great time, as Chachi mentioned. We
did everything you can do in Boston. Everything.
Pretty much. I mean, we were kind of like set to be, on a trajectory out, and didn't work out with a label situation that came came to us, and one thing led to another, and we're very grateful for all of it. It was fantastic to celebrate that period of our career with a station like WBCN. Others in the area, as you know, who are huge supporters of the local scene, and just be a part of an amazing bit of culture. But I will say that it was largely based on the Beatles. The one common thread that Casey and I had when we got together was love of the Beatles. And to that point, we did a live cover of I Am the Walrus, believe it or not. And it was fully orchestrated with background tapes and vocals and sequencers, and it was a cacophony or a spectacle. And unfortunately, the recording of it never got completed. I am searching high and low for the tapes that were supposedly living somewhere. I have a live version of it that I'm getting to Chachi just for posterity. But that it's been a huge influence on me since being a little kid. Like a lot of us, the Beatles are just so formative in all of our musical paths and trajectories and arcs or whatever. And here we are today in 2023, still celebrating one of the greatest musical endeavors ever to in human history. So that brings me to really staying in touch with Chachi and keeping in touch and listening from afar. Lisa and I live in Maine. We've raised kids in Maine since 1997. And, being able to listen online and stream the stations and listen on the New Hampshire station that Chachi's broadcast on, just remained a fan. And really, you hit the nail on the head about being fans of this. And what was the word you used? A fan?
Oh, Chachi, I have a new word for you. Instead of fan story, and what is it? Fanbassador. You're an Eagles fan.
Fanbassador.
Fanbassador.
Absolutely love it. That's exactly how Lisa and I feel about this and us and what we're doing. And really it ties to our label endeavor. So, I mean, with that, Chachi and I just, we've just stayed friendly and Chachi can elaborate on that. And then I go to the first one last year, or not the first of your events, not the first Come Together event, but the first time I went, and witnessing John, I will say a little skeptical going in. How does Beatles magic work? Right. Well, mind blown wide open, and a huge fanbassador, John. Like seriously, we are shouting your praise.
We tell everybody about you,
and then bringing people to the show with us, and then our daughter, getting involved, to bring in her friends, and they had no idea really about the Beatles history at all. So young people getting their minds exposed and history and the coolness of it all, and it's just fantastic. We're just massive fan ambassadors.
Okay, quick reminder: Saturday at noontime at City Winery, Boston. It's near the Haymarket stop. I don't know if the Haymarket stop's open because they're doing construction there, but that gives you an idea of where it is. It's on Beverly Street. It's right near the Boston Garden. Look it up. We want to see you there. It's once you go once, I bet we see you again. Now let's bring Lisa into this. Lisa, tell me about you and Rock Garden Records. You know what to say.
Sure. So it's interesting. I was reflecting this morning while I was driving around and thinking about the few short months. Actually, it's been close to a year, but really the last few months have just exploded for us. And it all started out as kind of an archive project for me and for us, with the musicians that we have in our lives that want to save their music and put it out and get new ears to listen, but also just have some sort of concrete, tangible product that they can share. And just, it's kind of a legacy kind of project thing that we were working towards. And then Todd's a producer, a great producer. And we had a friend come to us. Yeah, this is very good. I'm a little partial, but he had a friend, Dave Harrison, come to him through another friend, Jesse Mayer, who we all know and love. And Todd produced a single for Dave, and we just decided that maybe we'll give it a go. We'll do it Rock Garden Records is more than just an archive business. Maybe we'll put out Todd's music, we'll put out our friends' music, and we'll see what happens. And so ultimately our goal was that we would take whatever music is out there who wants to be in our garden with us and either produce it or take, their production, and, master it or engineer it or work on it some way with the artist. Graphically, we can bring our work to it as well, and promotion. And so we found ourselves in a position that is really, really cool that we didn't imagine a year ago. And it's just beautiful how it's happened. And it's really crazy how the name came to be and how we're just kind of like growing. And it's very cool.
That's pretty quick, just 1 year. And
Yeah.
there's an event at Brighton Music Hall. I guess it's an event where you're going to celebrate, is it the Beatles' White Album? And you've plucked artists from Rock Garden Records. This is what I understand, to form a band to do that. And it's sponsored by Chachi's show called Breakfast with the Beatles.
Yes.
Do I have it right?
You sure do.
Okay, when is this show?
Pretty close, Bradley. The band that's formed under this Rock Garden Records umbrella, if you will, or sort of our garden, is called Mutual Admiration Society, and it literally came out of what those words actually mean, like being a fan ambassador of music. Like, we're just such huge fans of great music, the Beatles, the Cars, the Stones, all the big legacy artists that have got us where we are, Aerosmith.
Huh.
You know, that I decided to include artists, friends of mine who I'm fans of, to just cover music that we're fans of. So it's people loving and covering their favorite songs. And the first one was Iggy Pop's Candy, that we covered with Linda Vians and Heather Rice Fahey, who is the lead singer for Lizzie Borden and the Axes. And it, again, to Lisa's point, it just took off. We had no idea where it was going to land us, and it landed us a performance at the Regent Theater at the New England Music Hall of Fame Awards. And it just organically, the sprouts just, shooting out of the ground. And that's how we end up with you guys at Come Together this weekend. Mutual Admiration Society is Dave Harrison, who back in the day, Chachi was a member of the Voodoo Dolls, who got a lot of airplay, a lot of local support in the late 80s, early 90s. And Dave now has a band called the False Positives, and his single Leaves a Mark is the first release on Rock Garden Records for us, and it just left a mark, and it left a mark on us and our hearts, and we've become huge fans of Dave and love him dearly. And so Dave is in the band this week, Saturday at City Winery. Alongside him is James Mellinson, and James is a very noteworthy Boston area guitarist, plays in several bands, two of which are Little Billy Lost and Spin City and the Fez Tones.
Yeah, which are basically the same band, right?
Technically the same. Well, sort of. I mean,
Very
Spinny
different.
and James have a lot in common. Let's just say that they spend a lot of time together. And
Okay, I gotta go to John. John, have you been on tour with Malcolm Mitchell again? Are you still doing that down south?
Yes, I just came back from a few weeks. Where did we go? Went to Houston, New Mexico. Where else? No, we didn't go to Houston. Yeah, Houston, New Mexico, Savannah, Atlanta. So we were bounced around a lot, and I'll be traveling a lot in the spring as well. So it's fun.
I'm trying to get a picture on that. Do you meet Malcolm at the airport and you fly together, you hang out, you get a car together, you drive to these gigs together. He does his bit, you do your magic. You get in the car, you go back to the hotel, and you fly somewhere else, or you drive somewhere else. You stop.
Pretty much.
You stop and you get something to eat. You're hanging out with Malcolm Mitchell and say, "All right, let's go." You drive to the next gig. You get a soda at a gas station. You drive, and this is what you do, right?
You just described it perfectly. That's what we do. It's
So you're pals. You're on the road with this dude
Mhm.
from the Patriots, Super Bowl winner. I
Yeah.
bet you didn't expect that when you were a kid.
No, it's for those who don't know, the story was that was in 2016. I used to work for the Patriots doing marketing, but they realized I was also a magician as well. So they said, "Hey, do you want to have your own TV show with the players, and you can perform magic to them every week, and a new player can come in?" I said, "Sure, if that's what you need me to do, I'll do it." So it really kind of took off, and every week a new player would come in. And 1 week was Malcolm Mitchell, who was a wide receiver at the time. And he really enjoyed it. And he was building his brand as well at the time. And he was looking for an entertainer to join him on the road and go to different events with him so he can promote his message. And it
Right.
kind of just worked out perfectly. The stars aligned. So I've been with them since 2016.
Wow.
It's really great. Yeah, it's called Read with Malcolm. Read with Malcolm.
I think that they need you back because after seeing Bill Belichick in the last press conference, he was pretty sad. I think you need to cheer
One
cheer
time
Bill up.
downhill, so.
He was like he was pretty grim, right? He's always grim. He was extra grim. Like I would not have wanted to ask him the hard questions that he got asked.
Yeah.
Hey, I got to talk to Stephanie. I haven't talked to Stephanie at all. Stephanie's the executive producer. What are some of the challenges that, we don't know about? We only see the pretty shiny face of the show, but you're doing all kinds of stuff backstage while it's going on. You're planning stuff. Tell us about your role.
Wow. What you see on stage is literally magic. It's the magic between Chachi and John. They never fail to pull it off. There's just such good organic synergy, no matter what's going on, whatever the program, whatever, surprise things that happen backstage. These guys just pull it off each and every time. They have incredible energy and synergy. And yeah, we developed the show. We developed different themes. And this one is Beatles solo years. And what's really great about that is, the three of us come to the Beatles in different ways generationally. Chachi's first generation, little kid watching them on the Ed Sullivan Show. I came up with the Beatles as single performers, as solo performers, little kid listening to the radio. I knew George Harrison and Ringo Starr and all of that, My Sweet Lord and all those good songs, whatever gets you through the night. And that's what really got me excited. And, radio wasn't really playing so much of early 60s Beatles. And so as a little kid, I'm like, oh, these guys are the Beatles? These guys that do this as this band over here called the Beatles? And, you're hooked, your mind's blown. And then, John came up to it when Capitol Records put out the Beatles One album. That was, just the huge collection of everything great and the remastered stuff. And he was like, mind blown. And so we all come at it together. So this one is to celebrate the wonderful Beatles solo careers where truly the parts could be considered greater than the sum. And, speaking of that, I have to just say about Rock Garden Records, I think that their, Lisa and Todd's initiatives are very important. You'd be amazed at how much music is lost and how much, things that you think are around or, when bands did things on consignments, we used to not only sell the CDs at Strawberries, but the cassettes. And you think, oh yeah, well, sure, people have that. It's been around, it's been stocked. It's gone. And so the fact that you guys are reviving that and archiving that and redeveloping is really important because it's not accessible. And that's why people like David Bieber Archives and what you guys are doing, because there's a lot of good stuff out there now, but let's face it, that stuff was really good.
Yeah.
So,
Here's a question. The Beatles, they really shine still. Do you think that if they were all alive, they would be as popular? Or would it just be sad? I mean, do you think the fact that they broke up really early on sealed their fate, fame fate? Anybody?
I think that if all four were here, we would be in the same position of loving the Beatles 60 years later, because what they did in that 7 years in the 60s, 214 songs, each one different, nothing ever the same. They never went in to try to copy a hit to make another hit. And they, and the fact that we are without John and George, certainly that is something that really brings out a lot of passion and loss in us.
Yeah.
But Ringo and Paul are keeping it together, and we will address at our show on Saturday the first Beatles release in years.
Oh, yeah.
you see it now and then. You see it.
We're going to play the special music video that goes with the song, and it's very emotional, and people are going to love it if you haven't seen it already. I've seen it a bunch of times. It's just such a trip to watch it. But, this particular song that they released, it was from 1978. John recorded something on a cassette, and with the help of AI, embellished, didn't change, didn't add, but brought to life what was on that little cassette, John's piano and his voice buried in there. and the record is a hit all over the world. And I think if all four were here today, we might have even seen some sort of a reunion.
Wow.
But look at both of them are on the road, and they're in their 80s. Paul's in Australia. Ringo just wrapped up a tour. We're blessed to have Ringo and Paul still with us, and this new record just brings back a flood of memories and a lot of what ifs.
Right. I'm glad that they didn't end up on the like the Rochester Fair circuit, like you know. This year at the Topsfield Fair, at the Topsfield Fair, October 14th through 25, featuring the Beatles. I'm glad that didn't happen.
Puppet Show and Spinal Tap.
I know, that's right. One little easy question. Did John Lennon ever play with Chuck Berry?
Well, that's something that we're going to talk about on Saturday, because they, in fact, did play together. John and Yoko did a week with Mike Douglas in the 70s, the afternoon talk show. And John, one of the deals was John could bring in any guests he wanted during that week. And he brought in Chuck Berry, and the video is interesting because Yoko is a part of the band, and you got to see Chuck's face when Yoko starts wailing during the song. It's unbelievable. And John makes a beautiful quote at the beginning when he's talking to Mike Douglas, and we'll show this on Saturday, where John says, if you needed another name for rock and roll, that name would be Chuck Berry. So that goes back to John's childhood. They loved Chuck Berry. So yeah, during the Mike Douglas show, I remember coming home from school just to watch it every day. I think it was at 12:30 in the afternoon, the Mike Douglas show. And John and Yoko were guest hosts for the week, guest co-hosts for the week. And Chuck Berry played with John on that show.
Wow. All right. Well, we've been at this for almost a half an hour. Don't want to burn everybody out. So anyone who sees this, share it. And especially if you know somebody who likes the Beatles and who doesn't, sharing helps us all. We would really appreciate it. And all of you guys share it. And share it to your town group, actually. Wherever town you live in, share it to the town group. I would share it, but I don't live in your town, so you have to do it. So thank you very much, and
Thank
we'll
you.
see you all. Hopefully, Lisa, you're going to be there on Saturday, too?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're looking forward to the regulars, and we're looking forward to the new regulars as well. So thank you very much, all.
Thank you.
And we'll see you in a few days. I mean, no, 2 days. Just 2 days.
Feels like Friday.
Saturday.
All right.
I love it.